Good morning, Eddie. Firstly, can we have some reaction from you, please, to the Champions League draw yesterday? You've got some big teams in there, 4 matches at home, 4 matches away, so more football this time. How did you see it?
Yeah, really interesting. I think some great games, as you say. Very, very exciting prospects. I think very competitive, of course, the Champions League. And you look at the ties and you think, you start to be, sort of visualise the games and how tough they'll be, but how exciting they are, and what an opportunity for us to, as you say, enjoy more games in the Champions League. The group we had last time was very difficult. The games we have this time, I think, is tough and challenging, but yeah, great to look forward to.
And similar to 2 seasons ago when you were in the group stage, the away matches that you'll have are not too far away. You're not having to travel to the outer reaches of Europe. You'll be able to probably get there and back within 2 or 3 hours. Is that important to you, given the packed schedule you'll have this season?
Yeah, I think we're pleased with that. I think that the away games are always exciting, both for players and supporters. Sometimes the unknown is really exciting. So look, we played Paris before, so that was a great experience for us. We'll look forward to that one, and of course the other games are naturally the same. And
for a lot of supporters, Barcelona at home is a really meaningful fixture, going back to '97, Tino Aspria's hat-trick. They played them again a few years later in the Champions League, and the Sir Bobby Robson link. How special a fixture do you think that one will be?
Yeah, an amazing fixture for us. I think that's the one that you instantly get drawn to because of really, for me, the links with Sir Bobby and the history between the two clubs. As you say, those games were rightly remembered. So I think the exciting part for me is can we create more legacy to that fixture?
Moving on, what can you say to us about the move for Nick Voltemade?
Not too much, Reza, but positive signs. I think things are moving and developing in a good way at the moment. So until things are done, can't confirm anything, but yeah, fingers crossed.
Would it be your hope that he could be registered in time for Leeds, if that's possible?
I don't think that is going to be possible due to lots of reasons that I don't understand. But I think that the most important thing is that we try and bring a centre forward in. That's what we've been working towards really hard all summer. So hopefully we're getting closer.
The rest of your squad for the match this weekend, you had a couple of injuries to key players against Liverpool. Firstly, how are Sandro Tonali and Joelinton? What's the latest?
Yeah, relatively good news on both players. I think when they left the pitch, sort of feared they might be out long term because it didn't look good for either. But Joelinton's scan was relatively good. He will miss this weekend, but there's a chance he could be available the other side of the international break. And similar with Sandro, really, I think his injury isn't serious. He's battling to try and be fit for tomorrow. Whether he makes it or not, I'm not sure. But again, really positive signs because we did fear that we're going to lose them for longer.
Unavailable because of the head injury protocols?
No, Fabian is available. Yeah, we followed Premier League protocols regarding concussion with the doctor, and he should be fit and fine to play.
And what about Anthony Gordon? I presume you didn't appeal against the sending off, so he will be suspended?
Yeah, he will be suspended. Yeah, we didn't appeal.
And just one on the match against Leeds. Obviously, the atmosphere there is always noisy and electric. It's their second home match after promotion. They won the other game. What do you make of what you're likely to come up against tomorrow? Yeah,
I think every time we've been to Ellen Road, I think we've experienced the atmosphere, the feeling in the stadium that the Leeds supporters try and create. I think is very good. It's very strong home support. So we know that the start of the game is going to be really important for us. Having watched their game against Everton, I thought they played very, very well. And even early parts of the Arsenal game, I thought they were strong in the game. So I think they've invested well. They've got some good players. And Daniel's done an unbelievable job there.
Teresa. Keith?
Eddie, it's been a busy transfer window for you for a number of reasons. Players coming in, players you've tried to get in. But how busy is the last few days, the last week been, as you sort of furiously try and bring in a striker?
Yeah, I think the last month really has been the same. It's been relentless. This has been a demanding window in lots of different ways. The work going in has been detailed. It has to be. We have to try and bring the right players to the football club, and there's been a big effort from everyone behind the scenes to try and achieve that. So as I said earlier, we look like we're getting closer, but nothing is signed yet. But it's certainly moving in the right direction.
On a scale of 1 to 100, how much are you looking forward to it closing, the window closing on Monday night?
101. It'll be good because I think you can then focus on what we love to do, which is the training and the players that we have, and trying to build the team, knowing that it's settled and all the emotion around the transfer window is gone. But yeah, of course, there's also benefits to the window, in a sense that if you need to improve the squad, you still have a chance to do it. And certainly we are looking to do that in the last few days.
So going from what you're saying there, if you get Voltemad in and confirmed, are you still active in the window?
Yeah, we're still looking, because I think there's still an opportunity maybe to improve the squad further. But I don't know quite what that will look like. But I think just small steps, really. Let's try and get the deal that we're working on done, and then see where we are. Given
how active you are at the moment, I know obviously it feels like this plate's spinning, but what does that activity mean for the future of Alexander Isak? Do you expect him to still be a Newcastle player come Monday evening?
Difficult for me to give you any clarity on the future, Keith. I've said before, I don't know what the future holds in that respect, because I'm not dealing with it myself. I've got no update from what I spoke about the other day. I'm concentrating on trying to bring players to the club.
Will Osula came off the bench and scored the other night. He's like the only recognised striker you've got at the moment, unless you manage to get someone registered in time for tomorrow. Does he deserve a chance against Leeds tomorrow?
Yeah, possibly. I think he's certainly one of the options we're looking at. I thought he did really well when he came on. He took his goal superbly. He gave us renewed energy in a moment when the players were feeling the effects of playing without the extra man. Yeah, I think he's improved a lot from this time last year when we first signed him. He's gained experience, and certainly the knowledge of how we play and what we ask our centre forwards to do isn't easy. It's not an easy position to play. But he's gaining in confidence, I think, and that goal will do him the world of good.
And just finally, I guess it's a challenge for you and your coaching team as well. Whether it's Will who starts up front, or if you come up with if you devise a different plan, I guess it's a real challenge to try and select a team that's going to cause problems when you don't have like an experienced out-and-out number 9 there.
Yeah, I think our job is to try and find a way to make the team function well. I think that's the most important thing whenever you're picking a team. It's not necessarily about one player in one position. It's about the team still being able to deliver a strong performance. And I think if you look at the 2 games, albeit without an experienced Premier League striker, the team function has been really, really strong, and that's enabled us to be more than competitive in the games. For me, we've been the better team in both of our Premier League games so far, although we haven't won any. But I think over time, if you continue to deliver those kind of strong performances, that will certainly change.
Okay. Andy?
Well, Eddie, I've seen so many people describe Newcastle as dark horses in the Champions League this season. After you've seen the draw, how would you describe Newcastle in the Champions League this season?
Very difficult for me to conjure something better than what you've come up with, Andy. I think you're doing yourself a disservice. I don't know. I don't look at it that way. I just think, for me, when you're looking at the fixtures, and whenever the fixtures are sorted and we get the order of the games, we're just trying to attack each one in the best way that we can. I believe we're more ready than we were. Of course, and sort of the thing against that will be if the window shuts and we feel we're in a really good place. I think we're more ready. There's more experience in the squad. We've been through it before. I think all those things help you in your preparation mentally for the games. But the Champions League is the competition it is because of the strength of the teams in it. And we're under no illusions of the size of the task, but I really believe in the players that we have.
You touched upon the Newcastle-Barcelona game before. Can you remember if you watched it back in '97? You'd have been a young 19, 20-year-old back then. Did you watch it at the time? Did you see the highlights of it?
Yeah, I think I watched it. I've always loved watching football, and at that stage, early in my career, I would have been promising young centre half with his career ahead of him. I loved watching the big games and trying to learn and take things to add into my game at that time without thinking of coaching and management and all the stresses that go with that now.
Just one on Bruno. I think it was his 66th consecutive start for Newcastle against Liverpool. Was making Bruno Guimaraes captain one of the best decisions you've made since being at Newcastle?
Well, I trust him implicitly, and I think he's a player that from the moment he signed and he turned up sort of relatively unknown to everybody, but the way he immersed himself into the Newcastle culture, I think, has been the most impressive thing. And I think he was emotionally engaged from minute one. And you could see that then when he started to play and started to express himself. He was a Geordie. He's an adopted Geordie. He represented everything that the supporters want to see. He's got that creative flair, the work rate, the heart, the courage. He's got so many qualities. Give him the responsibility of captain was an important moment for him, I think. I think he was ready for it. I think he's taken to it really well. But most importantly, I think it's helped his game. I think it's taken his game onto another level. That responsibility can do one of two things to you. But it's definitely had a positive effect on Bruno, and we love having him with us.
Coming up against Leeds, first time potentially coming up against Sean Longstaff for a different club. Obviously, he was such a popular member of the dressing room over here. How strange is it going to be seeing him in anything other than black and white, perhaps, tomorrow at Ellen Road? Yeah,
it's always a unique thing when you come up against players you know so well. I've done it a lot in my management career, and it can be a difficult thing because Sean, for us, was so good. He was very popular, as you say, in the dressing room. He was very popular with the coaches because whatever job you asked him to do, he would deliver to the best of his ability. And he's been part of some special nights for the football club, played his part in our journey to where we are now. So we thank him a lot for that. Of course, we're going up against him now tomorrow, but it will be great to see him out on the pitch, doing what he does.
Just very finally from me, I don't know if you've seen this, but Tony Kroos was speaking on his brother's podcast this week, and he said he'd seen the Newcastle-Liverpool game and he was about to sign up as a Newcastle United member. He was absolutely in awe of Newcastle's performance. Said he also loved Dan Burn. Don't know if you'd seen this. Had you seen this? And would you ever welcome Tony Kroos down the training ground?
Yeah, I did see it. Someone sent it to me, and it was made me smile. Someone of his calibre and had the career that he's had and played in the clubs and the games that he's had, to sort of recognise our performance was really special.
Thanks, Eddie. Cheers, Andy. Nisha?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Defensively, you're blessed at the moment. You've got a wealth of fantastic defenders. How is that competition between them? How are they dealing with that? How's Sven Botman dealing with being on the bench?
Yeah, Sven missed a part of pre-season, unfortunately for him, which was an important part because it was coming to the tail end of pre-season. Sven wants to play, but I'd say every defender at the club wants to play. I think if you're not, if you're fit and available and you're not in the starting 11, there's a tinge of sadness and disappointment. But I think those players at the moment are using that to their advantage. Really, Sven needs to just finish off the last part really of his sharpness that he's missed. Same situation with Lewis Hall, who's missed a lot through injury, who's beginning to get back to his very best physical level. So this opening period of the season where we've had one game a week really, 3-week period, and then an international break is sort of the last top up for those players. I think the other side of the international break, where we're going to have game after game after game, those players need to be ready to be at their absolute best levels.
We know the window's shutting fairly imminently, but do you feel like the club is just about there with what you need for a successful Premier League and Champions League campaign?
Yeah, I think we've worked hard throughout the window to try and get ourselves in that position. There's been quite a lot of work done. I'd still feel in an ideal world there's a little bit more work to do. So we'll try, as I said earlier, right to the end of the window.
Thanks, Nisha. We'll start the written section with Damien. If we could just keep it to 2 questions each, please, that'd be great.
Morning, Eddie. Nick Voldemada's made a really good start to his senior career, much as Alex had done before he arrived here. If the move goes through, do you see you being able to do with Nick what you've done with Alex?
Yeah, without talking about the individual player, because that's not right. We believe in our ability to try and coach players, help players maximise their ability and take their games to the next level.
And just on Leeds, on your first season here, game down there proved a real springboard. Can it be a springboard again? For all, you've played very well, but you've not got the results to good ones so far.
Yeah, we hope so. That game I remember like it was yesterday. Realised the position that we were in, the pressure on us going into that game was extreme. John Joe hit a worldy free kick into the top corner, if I remember rightly. Thanks, Ryan. But it was an amazing moment, and it was an amazing sort of change in our fortunes, because that gave us the confidence and belief to take our form to a different point for the second half of the season. And you never know what would have happened if we hadn't have got that result. But it sticks in my mind, and I love going to Ellen Road. It's a stadium full of emotion, but we need to use that emotion for us this weekend.
Thank you. We'll go Mark and then Lee, please.
Eddie Yasser, our mine, was here at the on Monday, and PIF obviously it looks like they're going to be back here with a club record signing. Do you feel that PIF have backed you? Has there been any change since Yasser came in on Monday?
No, I think they're always supporting us and helping us. So no, there's been no change. As I say, I had a very, very brief chat with him before coming to see you guys after the Liverpool game, so we didn't talk in any detail.
Have you spoken at all to Alex this week, or has it been very much same situation?
Same situation.
Eddie, I mean, I know you can't talk about Alexander too much, but does it get to a point where you as a coach, you cannot waste too much energy on a certain situation and you have to sort of delegate that to the powers that be?
Yeah, that's where I've been for a long time with the Alex situation, because it would be detrimental for me to invest any more time in that situation when I've got 25, 30 players needing every ounce of energy and time, and the team needs me to focus on trying to get results. So that's what I've tried to do. Other people, as I've said, are dealing with that situation. For me, it's been let me focus on the players that are playing and that can influence our results.
And obviously we hope that we'll get some good news on transfers later, but do you feel now that it's almost like a new chapter, the page is being turned on something? You've got the Champions League draw to look after. There's so many positives to happen in what's been a crazy summer in some ways.
Yeah, for me that was there. As soon as the season starts, then the action begins. You're into the totally different place where you have to try and get results and performances. It's such an exciting season ahead. You don't want anything to derail the positivity that should be directed towards the team into getting results. It's hard enough to do it against a backdrop of, all the other distractions that we faced this summer. But I think the players have faced that really well. But we're going to continue to have to do that because the challenge only gets bigger. So, as I say, the other side of this international break, the games will explode upon us, and we need to be ready for that challenge ahead.
So we've got Ian and then Luke, please.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Sean Longstaff, whenever you looked at the Opta stats afterwards, he was invariably a player who'd run more miles than anyone else on the pitch. If he start, would you expect him to run more miles than anyone else on the pitch tomorrow? Yeah,
that's definitely his game. I mean, his game's based on, that's why we loved him so much, based on running, energy. He played with a real passion for Newcastle as well. His love for the club, I think, shone through with how he played. So yeah, if he plays against us tomorrow, he will cover every blade of grass, and we're going to need to match that in that key midfield area.
Just on the season as a whole, 2 weeks ago, you certainly wouldn't have accepted the results that you subsequently have, but you would have the performances that are probably better than you might have imagined. Have you had to reassess your own thoughts on the season ahead? Are you more optimistic than you were before the season started?
I don't know. It's a difficult one to answer because before the season starts, I was optimistic. I believed in the players we have. I believed in the honesty of the group. I believe in the ability of the group. That's not changed. The two performances we've given have been, in my opinion, superb. But we've got 1 point, and so as much as I'm pleased in that respect, there's of course still things we need to improve to deliver points and wins, which ultimately we have to do. I think it's just focusing on the next game and trying to keep those performances, the levels where they've been, but of course adding the goals one end. And of course we conceded 3 the other night, and albeit with 10 men, we're disappointed with that.
Thank you. We've got Chris, Scott and then Craig, please. Sorry, Luke, missed you out there.
Leave. As I only asked one question last week and I asked 3 today.
Who are you talking to?
Works, no.
Try anyway.
2.5.
There is a narrative this summer that you told Alex that you needed to sign a replacement before you would be allowed to leave. Is that true?
Absolutely not. I never make any promises to any players regarding transfers because ultimately I'm not in control of the whole thing. So no, I'll never make a promise like that to a player. But of course, as I've said so many times with conversations with Alex, I'm not going to reveal, the dialogue because I don't think that's healthy.
Where does this leave Alex now? You've brought in one high-profile striker. Does it make a move more likely, closer? What's your view on it?
Well, we haven't brought anyone in yet, so we're in the process of trying to do that. And as I said earlier, I think the best thing to do is to, from my position, reflect and analyse upon if we're able to make a signing and then see what we do next.
Thank you. Is it in the best interest now of everyone to let Alex leave, everyone at Newcastle to let Alex leave if a suitable bid is made?
As I've said, look, that's for other people to decide in this moment in time. I'm not in control of those discussions and those talks. I'm focusing on trying to bring players into the club and improve the team.
Chris, Scott, and then Craig.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
In terms of Sandro's injury, it looked like, I don't know, he'd done something to his shoulder. Can you explain the nature of it and how he has, because it looked like it might be dislocated, or how he's recovered so quickly, I suppose? Yeah,
there was no dislocation, thankfully, because that would have been, of course, a much longer term injury. I'm probably better off not giving you the science behind it because I don't actually know too much. But I think he's just dealing with pain. If he can deal with his pain, he could play. But he's still sore. The movement in his arm is reduced currently, or it was yesterday. So we'll see how he is today. He's saying he wants to, give it every chance to play. But we need him 100% fit if he does.
And beyond the Alexander Isak situation, if you do bring in a striker, do you envisage other potential outgoings by the deadline? Do you need to financially for PSR reasons to move people on as well?
I think PSR is always there, as I've said. With every decision we make, there is a view to PSR, whether it be sort of now or looking at future windows. So I couldn't rule anything out. I couldn't say absolutely not. But also I couldn't say anything is 100% going to happen because, as I said, we need to reflect upon our position, both PSR-wise and squad-wise, if we can make this signing that we want to make.
Hi, Eddie. Just one on Will Sula. I mean, there has been talk of interest in him from Germany. So, is there any chance that he leaves this month, or is that absolutely out of the question with everything else that's going on striker-wise? And B, where do you kind of think he's at in terms of his development? And if he does stay as a Newcastle player for the rest of this season, where do you think he can get to this season? Is it realistic to think that he could be a regular first-team starter this season?
I think anything is possible for Will. I wouldn't want to put any kind of restriction on how he's viewed. We will view him and judge him every day like we do. He's made great strides, I think, in a year. Sometimes you can forget when you're watching someone every day and you're so sort of ingrained in their development, you can forget to see the giant leap that he's made. So I think his game's in a much better place. I still think there's more growth to come naturally for someone so young. But he's got ability and he's got a talent, and he does score goals. He scores goals regularly in training. He's quick and he's strong, so he's got all the attributes. There will be a time when he has to play regularly to sort of go the next step, and he's probably in that moment now.
And could that be away from here then, if other strikers come in? I mean, is that, would you consider a loan for him, or does he need to be here?
I think, that's all for another day. Regular football will be something he needs for his own career at some stage, but whether that's now or in the future, who knows?
Cheers, Scott. Craig?
Thank you.
Morning, Eddie. You said there, other people are dealing with the Alex situation, but do you have a preference as to how this does play out? You're potentially looking at two options, which are players coming in and drawing a line under the Alex situation, or taking that gamble of reintegrating. Other people are dealing with it, but do you, and have you communicated a preference?
Yeah, of course I would have a preference, but ultimately you've got to look at all the information. So of course I have a footballing preference, but then you've got to take everything else into account. You can't just be oblivious to things that have happened. So I'm sort of in that position really, where I'm trying to separate myself from it, because as I've said so many times, I have no control over it. So I'll let everything take its course and then deal with the eventuality.
That sounds, judging by your answer there, that you're being a pragmatist about the situation rather than, what's the opposite of pragmatist, emotionally involved, or is that fair to say you're being a pragmatist around this situation?
Yeah, I don't think you can be emotionally involved, because I think if you're emotionally involved, you're going to make a bad decision. So I've had to separate myself from it as Alex sort of exited the squad really initially. Took a view that then the squad needed me to be the best me and be totally focused on them. And this situation was not going to be resolved quickly, and I had no control over bringing any resolution to it either. So I was in that position then where I took the call to move forward with the squad.
Cheers. We'll go Dom and then Jordan, please.
Morning, Eddie. You've spoke all summer about wanting to sign a striker, and that striker would be a replacement for Callum Wilson. So any incoming player, do they have that label as a Callum Wilson replacement? Is that fair?
Well, they don't have that label from me. I understand the question, but I think we're just trying to sign the best players possible that we feel can help our team. Yeah, there's no label attached to anyone we bring in. They will fight and compete for the shirt like everybody else, and then what happens from them is down to their own ability.
In terms of fighting and competing for a shirt, in terms of your striker at Leeds, other than Willa Sula, are there any other options that would enter your mind in your squad?
Yeah, I think you've always got options, even if it's perceived you have none. You know, in my head, there's always a solution. There's a system change, there's a personnel change. So we're looking at all options in this moment.
Jordan?
Morning, Eddie. The general understanding has been that you need to sign 2 strikers before letting Alexander Isak go. Now that one is through the door, nearly through the door, do you hope to sign a second striker before the window closes?
Yeah, we've got no one through the door currently, so we're working hard on that. As I said, I think once that situation's resolved, either way, we'll then make a call on what we do next.
And is there still room for more signings after this deal goes through, if it goes through, or would you need to sell someone to raise additional funds?
I think copy and paste my previous answer really. Digest it all, see where we are financially, and then make the next call.
Yes, we'll go Louise, Kieran, and then Martin at the back to wrap up, please.
Hi, Eddie. Last season, you spoke a few times about the start of the campaign. There were some problems in the dressing room, and it was quite tough, and it could have gone either way. How do you sense the mood this season as compared to a year ago? Is it, despite everything that's happened, is it more positive or the same or worse? Or
Yeah, no, I think the squad feel and dynamic is very strong at the moment. I think players have been through a lot this summer. I wouldn't have said the same answer in the first couple of weeks of pre-season because I think there was a lot of distraction. But I think since then the squad's come together really strongly. I don't think we'd have been able to give the 2 performances that we have at the start of this season if we weren't totally together, united, and the feeling wasn't very strong between the players and staff, etc. So, no, I feel like we're in a really good place, but I feel the squad just generally needs a bit of work in terms of finishing touches to make this a really successful window for us. That's probably where I'd give an assessment.
on Monday night, the owners and the chairman made a great show of being here and going onto the pitch and consoling you at the end and everything. Does part of you feel that they should maybe have been here a little bit earlier? And do you think you could have done with more help at certain times earlier on, i.e. in face-to-face situations?
No, I don't think so. I think it was great to see whenever the owners are here and their presence is here, whether it be at a game or training or a meeting, it is greatly appreciated by myself because I think the players can then see that we're together as a football club, which we very much are. But sometimes to see that visually is so strong. So no, whenever they're here, I'm fully behind that. But there's been no time when I felt we've needed that beforehand. You know, we've got a team of people that are dealing with all sorts of different things at the club. And of course, is Alex's situation, I didn't think there was ever going to be a quick resolution regardless of what we did.
Given how difficult it's been to sign a striker this summer, what would it mean to get one through the door if it happens?
Yeah, it's been something we've been working on for weeks and weeks and weeks. But as always, it's about the right player, not any player. So that's what we're working towards, bringing someone in that we feel can take the team forward.
And you've spoken about this previously. Given the events of recent days, do you feel there's any way Alex could be reintegrated?
I think I've answered that one many, many times. Yes, he's contracted to us.
Let's go. And then Martin to wrap up, please.
Morning, Eddie. On a similar theme there, could Alexander Isak and Nick Voldemada be in a Newcastle squad together?
Yeah, of course. But one isn't available to pick and one we haven't signed, so that gives it a bit of context as well.
There has been an overspend problem in the last 3 transfer windows that has hindered you. If Voldemada signs, would you want to be careful to avoid repeating that?
Yeah, I think I've said many times, we don't want to be in a position where we're having to make poor decisions, which we had to do, well documented previously, off the back of decisions we've made trying to improve the squad as we are now. So I think PSR continues to influence everything that we do, but we don't want to be chasing a big deficit because that will have big negative consequences if we are in that position again.